Welcome to the talk show of William Angliss Institute at SLIIT. Today, the discussion point will be the learning and development. Learning and development seeks the quality assurance of hospitality establishment. Learning and development provides and facilitates people and processes in place in the organization. So today we have fantastic Lihini Wimalasuriya. She's one of our alumni, also a notable alumni, here to talk about learning and development and her career too. Hi Lihini.
Hi sir,
how are you? So I urge whoever who comes to this session not to call me sir, call by my name. Yeah? Okay. Right. So Lihini, we would like to hear your story. You have a story.
Yes.
Right? For a little period, you have a story. It's 2 years of your graduation,
yes,
you have a story.
Years.
So we'd like to hear your story.
So I joined William Angliss in 2016, right after my O-levels.
Right after your O-levels?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was, I think, 16 at the time when I joined. And then I spent my 2 years here at Angliss. And right after I got the opportunity to work at Hilton, Colombo.
So we'll talk about Hilton in a while.
Yes.
I wanted to know your school career. HFC Bumblebee.
Yes.
So talk about a bit there.
Well, I went to Holy Family Convent Bumblebee, like you said. Was there since grade 1. So from grade 1 to 11, I had my education there. So once I completed my O-levels, I already knew that I wanted to do hospitality. So which is why I never really looked forward to doing A-levels. By that time, I already had the idea to join William Angliss. So even up until school, even while in school, I used to really like the industry mainly because it was a very people-oriented industry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got to work with people a lot rather than with, just a computer. So that's something that really stuck out to me and that I really liked about the industry. So that is what I basically, throughout school, I had the idea to join the industry.
So tell us about your school activities other than curriculum activities. What did you do in school?
I'm not actually a very sporty person.
Yeah. But societies clubs?
Yes. So I went in 2 clubs, the Philatelic Club, because stamp collecting was one of my hobbies at the time. And I was also in the English Drama Club.
So how many stamps did you collect?
I had multiple albums from so many countries because at the time I was really into it. Yeah. That and reading were 2 of my hobbies at the time, but right now it's not something that I really do.
Do you still have those?
I do. I still have all the stamp albums with me.
So drama?
Yes.
Did you like literature or how?
Well, as my aesthetic subject in school, I did music. So literature was not something that I really did in school. But drama was something that I liked and I really looked forward to.
Drama?
We had as per houses in school, we used to have dramas. So that was something that I used to take part in. So
coming to now Angliss, now we like to hear your Angliss experience with friends and lecturers and foreign lecturers.
Well, it was quite an experience, the roller coaster of 2 years.
Yeah. You call it a roller coaster?
Yeah, there were ups and downs, and of course. So, well, starting Angliss, like I said, I started in 2016. Initially, we had a lecturer called Mr. Kumar Pereira. He was my first lecturer. And so that day he was telling us, our first day, he was telling us about Angliss basically, because we had no idea, and about how you get awards and the graduation is like this. So he really gave us an idea about what to expect for the next 2 years.
Okay.
And then going on, we had foreign lecturers coming for coffee and for other subjects. So it was really nice to have a little bit of Australia here in Sri Lanka.
You felt Australian feeling here.
Yes. So it was very different because it's not like learning from a local lecturer. They have a different style of teaching and how they would grade an assignment and so on. So it was really nice to get that experience, seeing that we're an Australian college as it is.
So the friend circle, the social network, or how does this building gives you this atmosphere?
It was there was so much of talent in my batch, so many people from different streams. I think as a batch, I think we had our ups and downs, but I think at the end of the day, I think one thing that really brought us together was our event, Kastira. Yeah.
Ashini came once and Ashini talked about the entire event and how it went.
We had so many good things, so many bad things, but we learned so much from it. And I think that was one brilliant fact that brought all of us together at the end of the 2 years. So yeah, as far as mingling with people and all that go, it's nice to see that you have different people from different backgrounds, and you really get to know. It's very different from when you're in school than when you're coming to a place like this, because can be people from anywhere. So it was really nice that I had a fantastic batch.
So at the initial stages, you said you like to be part of people. You're a people-oriented person. So did that purpose serve here?
Yes, I think it really helps you to build relationships, and I think that's not something that can be taught. You can't just put it on pen and paper. Yeah. So I think given this environment, we really learned how to build relationships, how to deal with certain people. So I think, and going into the industry, that's something that really helps, because going from being a student or studying to going into being an employee in a workplace, it's very different. So I think that sort of gives you an idea of what to expect when you're going into the industry.
Okay, before we go to next questions,
yes,
I would like to serve you a coffee. Right, that's a tradition here. Whoever who comes here will get a coffee, right? How many sugar?
2, please.
2 sugar. Okay. Right. So,
yes.
Then after Angliss, what was your reaction?
Well, after Angliss, I went for a few interviews, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the opportunity to work for those companies. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So it was quite a task actually going out into the industry, because I had no experience up until then.
Okay.
So I was really fresh into the industry. So life after Angliss was, starting off, I wouldn't say it was the easiest, because I had quite a task actually going out into the industry. So I didn't really have the opportunity to join the companies that I initially went for the interviews. But thereafter, after a few months, I was able to get into Hilton Colombo, which I think was...
Hilton Colombo?
Yes.
Colombo?
Yes.
Colombo or Residencies?
Into Hilton Colombo.
Okay.
So at the time, that's the opportunity I got, and I was more than grateful that was my first.
What was that job?
It was as a trainee in learning and development.
L&D?
Yes.
L&D. Okay. So now, Lihini, you studied hospitality, going to learning and development. So how did this happen?
That happened. Well, so initially when I was done with Angliss and I was looking for a job, I spoke to Miss Michelle and I was telling her that I was on the lookout for a job. And she said that there is this opening in learning and development at Hilton Colombo. Would you like to join? And at that time, I was really willing to take up any job in the industry. And my initial reaction was, what do I have to do in learning and development? Because I was a bit lost at the time. And then she said, oh, you have to train. And I said, okay, that doesn't seem too hard, right? So I'm just going to take it up. And then that's where it led me. So right now, I really love that I'm in learning and development. It was not something that I expected to do, because leaving Angliss...
So I'll have to come back to you for your learning and development experience.
Yes.
Before that, I have very precious awards here, which you earned in the campus,
yes,
right? You were the most outstanding graduate in 2019. I'm sorry.
No, in 2018.
2018. This is your trophy. How
yes,
did you feel when you get this trophy? I know for a fact that this trophy is very heavy, right? At the graduation.
Yes, it was such a task to carry it once we got it. I was very proud of myself, because I know for a fact I worked really hard for 2 years and I gave it my all, because initially when I left school and when I joined Angliss, this was when Mr. Kumar was telling us about these awards. It was not something that I had in mind, because I never thought that I was someone that could get an award like this, because I was a very average child even in school.
But you were never an average student here. Oh gosh, from the day one to the end of the course, you were kind of very studious and you were focusing on every single aspect. Now, if I name it from the beginning, not only studies, and you have served for both President and Prime Minister in 2017. And also you have served Australian Assistant Minister for Victorian government. Also you have served another provincial minister in Australia? I mean, there's quite a long list here. Yeah.
Well, I think I was a very different person in school and how I was at Angliss. So I think it all comes down to actually loving what you are learning and what you're doing. So my passion was to be in this industry. I knew that this is where I wanted to build up my career. So I think when you love what you do, you're willing to do whatever it takes. So be it studies, or actually serving someone, or taking part in an event, I was down to do it.
So this graduation, this was the 5th graduation we had. Our theme was 5 years, 500 graduates. So there the chief guest was Kumar Sangakkara. So you got this award from Kumar Sangakkara.
Yes.
How did you feel that?
I don't know how to put it into words, because he's an individual that I just think is a very respectable, classy gentleman. And the minute I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, he's actually here. Like, I was just so happy to see that he was the one that was the chief guest at our graduation. So it was, I don't know how to put it into words. It's a very surreal moment. I was really fangirling the whole time.
Yeah, it was. So out of that, you had 2 other awards. One is for HR.
Yes.
That's important. So HR award is being awarded by Hilton Colombo. Right? Now you work for Hilton as well. Then you have the other award for operations.
Yes, hospitality
operations. So how did you really feel those two? Coincidentally, now you're working for Hilton and you got the Hilton award here, right?
There was nothing. There was no link between the two at all, I think. But yeah, I was flattered to get it, because my director, HR at the time, was the one who gave me the award. Bachelor, sorry. So I was...
While you were working, or you were not?
Yes, I was working at the time. So she was like my boss, like the head of department. I mean, I initially got these 2, and I didn't know if I would get the 3rd one, so I was like...
The most outstanding.
Yeah. So I was like, it's okay, I have these 2, and I was very proud of it. I mean, seeing that it was HR, the department that I was working in also at the time, and hospitality operations, that meant that I had done quite well in each department individually. So I was quite proud of myself for receiving those 2 awards.
We are also proud, because you got most outstanding graduate and 2 other awards.
Yes.
You know, and when we were selecting you in the committee, we had a tough battle in your batch, right? We had a real tough battle in your batch, to select which person goes this gets this one, right? Out of all, in few decimals you got it, right? So, Lihini, now. Again, coming back to school, I have some other experience also, what you have done in school, right? See, you got a very fascinating opportunity to serve for Victorian government minister in Australia, assistant minister, right? So here the picture, right? You were at the
entrance.
At the entrance, you were welcoming them, right? So how did you feel this one?
Again, I was very lucky to be chosen to actually welcome such a prestigious lady. And it was a 1 in a million opportunity to actually meet someone like this. So when I was told to you had to dress up in sari and interview this lady, I was like, yeah,
Not
sure.
dress up Oriental sari, the Sri Lankan
the Canadian sari.
So
I said, okay, and then I didn't have a sari at the time, so I had to go buy one, bought a sari, did all of that.
You need to have a bulat on.
Did practice all that. And then and I finally was able to welcome this lady, and that was it was quite a big deal. I mean, to see that someone like that was coming to Angliss.
Yes. Yeah. And more than that, you got the opportunity to serve.
Yes.
So that's one episode.
So,
that's another episode is you again serve another minister. That's probably a Victorian government minister and the delegation. Remember this photograph?
Yes, that was just before our event.
Just before your event. And you were welcoming all these people and you were talking to them and you were serving at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
So again, that was another very momentous occasion to be able to, again, another very prestigious individual.
Okay.
So these are not chances you get very often.
Yeah.
So I was very glad that I was able to serve such a person.
So this is the next point I wanted to talk. It's your event, Kastira, right? So you were the head of reservations
Yes.
for that. Finally, you got 1,500 people.
Somehow.
Yeah, 1,500 people. See, I have some. See, this is ever the picture. Remember, this all our memories,
Yes.
right? You made quite a good job here, bringing 1,500 people.
I had a team that helped me, so I was glad that they were there.
Our second episode was with Ashini. Ashini was talking about the entire event. Experience and things like that. Okay, so and other thing I wanted to ask, how did you feel serving president and prime minister both?
Again, a very rare occasion. So I was in the kitchen at that time because
you were in the kitchen.
Yeah. So we were because we were doing our culinary 6 months at that time. So it was nice to see that our batch again got that opportunity to work for 2 individuals at the time. So it was again another very wonderful experience to have at Angliss.
So we stopped our discussion for a while at Hilton Colombo. Now you are at Hilton Colombo Residencies.
Yes.
As an L&D officer.
Yes.
So how did this happen? Was it internal transfer or you applied separately?
It wasn't. So initially what happened was, so I was working at Hilton Colombo as a trainee. So I had completed maybe 9 months or so up until then. And that's when the bombings happened. So I actually...
East attack.
Yes, the East attack. So then because I was a trainee at the time, I was no longer employed there, which was understandable from a hotel's point of view. You can't really, be able to fund trainees. So I actually, maybe in June or so, I was told that I had to come do my clearance and I wasn't able to be employed there. But I had also applied for another program, so I wasn't really on no man's land. I had some idea I had a backup plan at that time. And so this was to take place in July. And so unfortunately, I didn't get into this program. But
management training.
Yes.
Management training program.
So I wasn't able to. I applied last year and I wasn't able to. But when I got the call to say that I didn't get in this one afternoon, and that evening I got a call from my previous boss, Surat. He called me and he's like, so I graded your online interview and I think you should join us. I have an opening for you. And that was it was crazy to me because I just got my rejection call in the afternoon and in the evening I had a job opportunity. Because after I got that call in the afternoon, I wasn't really looking for another job because I was really devastated at the time. So it was that opportunity just found me. So I think.
So your colleague Kevin Jaman was with us for some time back again for a
interview,
coffee with us. So now he was a colleague at the workplace and he was your peer in the school. Yes. How this work for you?
Well, we got along as colleagues here, right? Because he was a senior and he was
the friends here. They are colleagues.
Yeah. So it's very different to have a very different relationship with people when you study with them and work with them. So he was obviously a senior and someone who I think he was quite known for his F&B. At the time. Coming here, it was nice to see that someone from your old family is there with their new family. So it was nice to know that there was someone who had gone through the same thing that you had been through.
So, Lihini, how do you spend your leisure time? What are your hobbies, basically?
Right now, I think, like I said earlier, I used to collect stamps, but not anymore. But I think reading is what I do in my leisure time. So that's basically how I spend. If I have any free time, that's what I do.
Still read?
Yes, still read. Something I had done since I was small.
So you had the liking towards the industry,
yes,
right? So what was the motive behind it?
Well, initially...
To meet people, yes, that's for outer sake, yes.
Yeah.
But what is your real motive?
So what happened was initially I wanted to be a chef.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my idea sort of changed. So how it actually came to be is I used to really love watching MasterChef. And just to see that people with no qualification would just be able to take a few ingredients and make this, really exquisite plate just was like crazy to me. So I thought, what, if they can do it, maybe I should give it a shot. And then so I would try cooking at home and I hated it.
Cooking?
I was like, this is just not my thing. And that's when it sort of, I looked into what other avenues could a kitchen be related to. And that's when the whole hotel industry came up. And I thought, that's actually, you still work with people. It's not an entire administration job where you'd be sitting behind a computer 9 to 5. And that's why I think learning and development is a balance of both. You have your time where you spend with people, and you also have your time where you do administrative work.
So L&D or learning and development always seeks for quality assurance,
yes.
right? Then the quality assurance, what matters is the people
yeah.
and processes. So how do you link these together? You are a people-oriented person.
Yes.
This is a people-oriented job.
Yeah.
Right? How does this work?
So learning and development is where you teach the people the process.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I'd like to put it. And so you have to make sure that you're thorough with what you're talking about. You can't go up there and be unsure of what you're saying. You have to ensure that your facts are right, everything, your presentations are on point, and you have to have everything together once you're going and teaching them, because thereafter they're going to implement those with our guests, right? So you can't make a mistake there, because if you make a mistake at your first step, it's just going to go on like a domino thereafter. So you have to ensure that what you're teaching your colleagues or what you're telling them about is right. So where a process is concerned, you have to ensure that your process is right, and you have all the necessary facts to ensure that your people do the necessary jobs.
Working hotels like Hilton chain,
yes.
but the processes are in right,
yeah.
right? You get the standard operating procedures and things like that. What people are not following processes? How do you put them in track?
I think
it's a difficult question.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think seeing that we get everything from either our region or globally, they wouldn't necessarily fall in line with our Sri Lankan way of doing things and our Sri Lankan standards. So there are certain things where we will have to sort of tweak to make sure that they will fit our local community and our local way of doing things. So
authenticity.
Yes. You can't always do, exactly what they have told you to do. There are certain things you have to change according to, availability and how people would react to it. Because there are certain things, if you have to do it the American way, people wouldn't like to do it. They like to do things the Sri Lankan way. So there are certain things where you have to sort of play around with and see what works best for your team members.
So you're quite young, right? You didn't do your A-levels
No.
and you just joined. You are yet in teenagers?
No, just turned 21.
21, yeah. So now at this age, so you'll have to work with all sort of people.
Yes.
All types of people, all kinds of people.
Yes, true.
All types and all kinds. Huh? So how do you put yourself there?
I think it's being humble and down to earth is one thing that will really get you places, because you may not know how to do something, but if you're down to earth and if you're grounded, I think anyone is willing to help you with anything. So being new into the industry, because when I joined, I think I was 19, I had just turned 19. So at that time, and I didn't really, apart from what I was taught at Angliss, I didn't really know anything extra from there. So going into the industry at such a young age, I think it's you can learn a lot from people, because there are people that are so experienced, have been all over the world. So there's so much to learn, and I think from being grounded and just being humble and being able to build relationships with people can take you very far.
So yeah, I know for a fact that you are very, very, very good at people and making network
yes.
Very nicely, right? So Lihini, now when I look at your CV, there is quite a lot of education qualifications you have.
Yes.
Right? You speak French, you speak Chinese, you are learning HR, and you have completed your basic degree. Also, you have done something on baking.
Baking, yes. So those are all
diverse.
Yes, quite. So these are all things that I did alongside Angliss. So baking was also something that I used to do on weekends while I had weekday lectures here. So I think it's always good to learn something new, because at the time baking was not something I knew much about.
That was your passion back then?
Yeah, back then, and then I realized I hated it. So, but it was good to, learn something extra. And in terms of education, so after I studied at Angliss, I completed my bachelor's degree. And I'm currently studying in HR to learn more about learning and development.
Okay. So you have a list of qualifications, Lihini, right? Here. Now, out of these, how do you see the Angliss qualification? We talked about Angliss experience, the Angliss qualification.
So, seeing that it's a university that's affiliated with Australia, that obviously gives it a much higher place, right, compared to other universities. and seeing that we also do a vast array of subjects. We don't just stick to the 4 operational subjects. They know that we cover HR to finance to events. We have hands-on experience with an event. So things like that, knowing that we're given somewhat a glimpse of what it's like to work in any department in a hotel, I think is one thing that really stands out with the...
How do you give the ratings? If you say, let's say you have so much of jewels everywhere,
Okay.
And jewels and jewelry, right? How do you say it? You think as a crown, or it's just a jewel, or?
I would think it's a crown, for sure.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to hear. Now, we all face for a COVID pandemic,
Yes.
coronavirus. How do you see this? What impact do you see to the industry?
I think it has hit the hospitality or the tourism sector really hard, seeing that, you know, there are travel restrictions now, you can't accommodate this many guests. And I think something that our industry is really good at is we can adapt to anything. Could be even a very minute situation. I think we can adapt within a given time. I think the same thing happened with the bombings. We took whatever necessary measures had to be taken. And likewise with Corona. So we took, whether it was a government regulation or us being an international chain, we had Hilton regulations to abide by. So I think with all these, speaking for us as a property, I think we did really well, and we're still doing all the necessary measures that need to be taken. So in terms of how hard it has hit the industry, I think it has taken a massive toll on the industry, seeing that there's barely any occupancy in some hotels, or there's barely any guests anymore. So I think in terms of being an industry, we have done really well to adapt with what is currently going on with the pandemic.
So as a L&D person, Lihini, do you like on-the-job training or off-the-job training? What do you prefer most?
I don't really get on-the-job training to do much.
But at least to work with trainers, departmental trainers, and
yes. So I would have an allocated number of departmental trainers where I would teach them something very generic, not very department specific, and then they would somehow take that generic topic and then make sure that and see how they can incorporate it into that department. So if I do a general topic that can be related to any department, the departmental trainer would thereon see how it would relate to their department, how it can help enhance the guest experience.
Now, finally, what do you have to say to the public?
So in terms of what I have learned from these 2 years, being a student to going to be an employee at 2 properties, I think if you're willing to put in 100% into whatever you're willing to do, the sky's your limit, right? You can do so much. And at the meantime, I think you should learn to trust the process, because certain things, regardless of how hard you may work, may not come your way because it's just not meant for you. And that's something that I've learned within these 2 years. You could try the hardest to achieve something, but there's always something better in store if you don't get it. So that's something that I strongly believe.
Today's discussion with Lihini, what we can get out of it, what she says is believe in trust, do what you love, right? Find your passion. Hospitality is not a job, it's a passion always. So talking from her, what we gathered today is that you have to be people-oriented person, and we need to be looking to the quality and the details which provides the process in place. So that's what hospitality organization are doing, and also the people who are in the industry, we look for quality and the processes in place. Thank you very much for joining with us. We look forward with another episode.